Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I recorded the first 8 minutes of XFL Talk, and I forgot that my mic was muted until somebody had pointed that out. So what I'm doing is that I'm creating a new beginning right now to kind of let you guys know. So I apologize for that. I went back and did some editing. So it's going to look really weird. So it's just going to jump right into the intro and then skip right over to where it actually starts. So everything in between, you guys will miss, which is fine because I just repeated everything I said afterwards anyway. But if you do end up liking what you hear, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on that bell for all notifications and smash that like button. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick this thing off with XFL Talk, where we talk about the big announcement from Danny Garcia and Dwayne Johnson. And their big announcement is something that everybody will absolutely enjoy. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Oh, there we go. I did all that talking and forgot that I didn't have it on. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention, Devin. I really appreciate that. So anyway, I will just have to start all over and say everything I just said after wasting 8 minutes of my time. I'll have to go back and do some editing, but nevertheless, you guys kind of get the point. So, but anyway, as I was saying before, I so rudely had myself muted the entire time. This is a great thing for them to come back for in 2022. Number one, you're looking at a longer extended time for doing the draft. Okay, with that draft, you don't have to do that until spring of 2021. That way, it's going to be a closed draft anyway, so you'll still be able to watch your college games and any other spring type of football that's going on after the NFL's, Super Bowl and everything. So you'll still be able to do all those things. But with this closed draft, especially having it happen sooner, you would be able to give an extended amount of time to these players for them to get better. Because this last season was really good. You had great play out on that gridiron. But now it'll be even better because instead of taking 4 months, I believe this last one was only 4 months of training after the draft before they started the season. Now you're giving them anywhere between 8 and 9 months of prep. So that would be a wonderful thing. Number two, by then, things would be getting back to normal. COVID would have probably, they would have had a vaccine for it. Stadiums and buildings can start letting more people in and to letting out, bigger capacities. So they would be able to gain that audience back. And that would be a huge, huge thing for them. So, and then you look at everything in between. It's just a wonderful thing, an absolutely wonderful, wonderful thing. And then, of course, the expansion of different teams that you can look at, not for 2022, because we're still getting established with the 8 teams we already have. Let's let them make it to the championship game, and then we'll look at, bringing in maybe 2 to 4 new expansion teams, probably starting off with just 2, because we want to try and keep it as even as possible. But if you do that, that will really help because you can actually drop that announcement at the championship game saying these are the 2 teams that will be coming for the season of 2023, which will get people even more excited and build that hype for the next season. So XFL is doing a lot of great things right, and they absolutely could have done their season in 2021. But again, they're being very smart about it. They're taking their time. They want to make sure things are done right. Dot your I's, cross your T's, and, make sure everybody's returning, find out what players is able to come back. I'm sure a lot of them, the majority of them probably stayed in great shape just in case something like this happened. So all in all, this is an absolutely wonderful thing. Now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Danny Garcia did an absolutely fantastic job in purchasing the XFL and bringing things to light. This is going to be an absolutely wonderful, wonderful thing. Yeah, thanks, Devin. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yes, so that actually brings up a very good point. I have seen things like this come up as well, about the XFL possibly having a video game. This is a wonderful thing. Now, they've already, before COVID hit and this second 2.0 of the XFL was suspended, they were already looking at various developers to bring in to create this XFL game. I mean, you figure they did not look at EA, thank God. So no EA, but they did look at 2K. They did look at different companies like Codemasters, and then there's a couple other ones. I can't think of the company that did the one soccer franchise. It's not FIFA, but it's the other one. Yeah, you can even look at, different developers that could really, really make the game great. And they actually took a poll some time ago before they suspended operations the first time. Was they asked people, what would they like to see in an XFL video game? And people listed off all of the things that Madden has not done for their fans. And for sure, the XFL would have done that, such as, creating your own franchise mode, creating your own teams, up to 40 teams that you could possibly create. That was one thing they were eyeing. Create your own team logos, your own stadiums, how big you want your crowds to be. The commentary would have been as good, if not better, than what Madden and NBA 2K have done. And 2K is usually pretty good about, a lot of their commentary guys or their commentary teams. I mean, after a while, it does get repetitive. But I think with the XFL game, especially if it comes to the PlayStation 5, just how much better they can make that sound, and really get people excited hearing the commentary, because it puts you in the mind of actually watching the game, even though you're playing it. So these are things that, that have been discussed and have been looked at. So I am absolutely looking forward to whenever that happens. So we probably won't see it until probably 2024. That's my guess, is when we'll see an XFL game, is in 2024. They want to make sure these next two seasons, 2022 and 2023, really speak to the fans, and it really picks up a lot of steam. So I think with XFL still trying to keep in the realm of their audience and keeping people, in remembrance of the XFL and keeping it fresh in their minds by putting out content here and there, I think that's really helped the XFL quite a bit. And that's one thing that they want to continue to push. If you have not seen it, there is a video on YouTube talking about the St. Louis Battlehawks. I can drop a link in the description here on YouTube. I'll drop that after this video airs. But take a look at that video and see what the XFL has done, bringing a professional football team back to St. Louis. And this is going to be great. And I do believe that one of the things that the XFL can focus on too, the quarterback game needed a little bit of work, just a little bit, especially with certain teams. I think if you focus on that, focus on more of the defensive aspect of it, create those stars. And that's what the XFL was trying to do, was create their own stars. And, it usually doesn't happen overnight, but after one game, like we did see with PJ Walker, anything is possible. So this is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful thing. And keep in mind, too, the XFL, with them being a spring football league and only going 10 weeks, it doesn't have to be super long. It doesn't. Because now you go through those 10 weeks, now people are going to be fiending for more. They want more, especially if you create the field of play as good or better than this past one. I think that's an absolutely wonderful thing. But you guys basically tell me what you think about the XFL relaunching in 2022. And they've already dropped a video on YouTube. Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia had put out a 1-minute video kind of just showcasing the fact that the XFL is returning in 2022. This, I said this before, and I'll say it again. This is an absolutely fantastic news. I like the timing of when it's returning versus it coming back sooner, because now they have more time to prepare. And I'm hoping, and this is something that I'm kind of looking at, is getting with other people who are other content creators that also deal with the XFL and bringing them together. And we're all doing a live video of or a live stream of the XFL draft. Even though it'll be closed, there's got to be some kind of way that we can kind of get access to who's being drafted where. And then we can talk about our picks and who we think will make good with this team and that team, you know, give our thoughts and opinions on that. So that's something that I'm looking at down the pipeline. But this is great, not only for anybody in the NFL that's not getting their shot, that's either on the practice squad or they got cut or has been sitting on the bench for a while and they really want to get those reps in. And that's the same with college players. College players have just as much opportunity to go to the XFL as any NFL player. And you'll be trained by, you know, a lot of NFL coaches and staff that come with that NFL knowledge and experience that could bring that to the table and help make the XFL that much better. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Devin, always a pleasure to have you in here, man. Big shout out to you, good sir. Oh, just asked another question here. Okay, so that's a very good question. So what Vince McMahon did before COVID hit, or actually as soon as they suspended operations and then they ended up closing their doors, was that what they actually did was that they did continue to pay those players. I don't think the staff so much got paid. I think it was mainly just the players. So, but from a player aspect, that's a good thing, because even though you only gone through half a season and you still had another half season to go, you're still getting paid for the work that you put into, which is a great thing. And that shows just how the XFL respects the players and really wants to continue to build that relationship between player and company. Whereas there's even right now, there's a little bit of distinction between some of the players and the NFL. And the XFL does not want that. That's another thing that I would like to touch on right now before we go, is basically with the NFL, things have gotten so politicized in the NFL that the ratings for their game have quite a bit, actually. So they're not getting as many people watching. Now, of course, part of it has to do with COVID, because there's no fans in the audience, so you can't get that excitement. But a lot of it is to do with the political aspect of things, with everything going on. Will the XFL go in that direction? My prediction is no, which is good, because all we want to be entertained. We want to watch a great football game. We don't want anything political to get in the way, because that drives people away. We've seen this happen in the NFL. We've seen it happen in the NBA. So if the XFL can kind of just stay on the straight and narrow and just focus mainly on what happens on that field and not anything after that, I think they're going to be perfectly fine. But yes, the players did get paid, and these players will be still getting paid when they go to the XFL. How much more or less, that we don't know yet. So hopefully we'll have an update on that possibly next year as we get closer to the draft season of whenever that happens. So yeah, I'm hoping, because if they could, even if they could top out players at about, if I'd say like $1.2 million, depending on certain players. Like if you're a quarterback, you could make just over $1 million. I think if they increase it to about that amount, I think the XFL will be fine, because they're not really going out. No, they're not going out farther than they were before. But if they increase everything, that will make it easier for people, and it will seem more enticing for players, maybe in the lower ranks, to be like, you know what, I could still make money by going to this pro league versus trying to get into the NFL, where I could make, 15, 20 million, but it's so much harder. Not saying that the XFL is going to be easy. It's going to be just as hard, because they're going to be just as demanding. But, with the shorter season, you don't really want to, pay guys too much. So, but yes, they will all still be getting paid. So that is a great, great thing here for the XFL. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. That's pretty much all I had. Sorry about the first 8 minutes. I'll have to go back and do some editing and get that figured out, so it plays right. So you guys take care. Devin99, big shout out to you once again, because like OMG said, man, you're just everywhere. Any type of football that's happening right now, you are there, and you always show support. So I greatly, greatly appreciate that. But take care, and you guys have an absolutely wonderful, wonderful day.